Waxers. How often are you surprised by how a client's genitals look? Nothing surprises me. I'm mostly just focusing on the hair. But I do have a client who has a tuft of hair on the underside of his shaft near the tip of his penis we call his downstairs soul patch. Never. I have seen it all. Scars, hyperpigmentation, unevenness. None of it surprises me. Just please wash yourself before coming to me. That you even have to ask people to wash their genitals before exposing them to a professional makes me sad. Not a waxer pelvic floor therapist. I've seen genitals of all varieties and in all states. The only time I'm really surprised is when a patient has a very obvious pathology. Think infection, prolapse, etc., that hasn't been acknowledged in their history or mentioned to me by their doctor. I've never been surprised by the appearance of a healthy set of genitals. Initial reaction. Oh God, what if I'm covered in pathologies and I just assumed they were normal because that's what everyone does? A minute later, oh right, I go to the gynecologist every couple years. Nothing's changed. Not an esthetician, but I have worked in spas with many. Someone told they weren't surprised by how they looked, but they were more surprised by how many people came in with obvious yeast infections and would have to tell them to go to a doctor. I recently got a vasectomy, and while digging around inside my ball sack, the doctor said I had ideal anatomy. Ladies, form an orderly queue, please. Just before my doctor cut me, I said, "Careful, doc, it's my first time." Without missing a beat, he said, "Mine too." In 2016, I had torn the cartilage in my shoulder and needed surgery. So I figured if I couldn't FAP, I might as well get snipped near the same time. I was still in a sling, the kind with the red ball at the end to help position the padding, when I went in to get snipped. Doc was asking questions about it, and I remarked that I had a ball to hold on to if I got nervous. Without missing a beat, he said, "So do I." Seems like urologists are all bros with a good sense of humor. Mine proceeded to talk about tacos the entire operation. LAL, he gave me the, "We'll have to catch up sometime." No, doc, you've seen too much, there will be no hanging out after this. Damn, my doc just said, "Oh, there it is." Doctor, why are you pulling out a microscope? A gynecologist once told me my cervix was nice and pink, and to this day, I still don't know what the proper response to that was. I'm pretty sure I said, "Oh, okay." And then she was scraping cells off that nice pink cervix with a sporky plastic tool, and I didn't care for more conversation. I randomly remember sometimes and laugh to myself. Not a waxer, but I am a labor and delivery nurse. I see a vulva every single day I work, often multiple, and frequently about 3 feet from my face with a spotlight on it, LOL. Not much surprises me. Most are out of my memory by the time they're clothed or covered up. When it comes to genitals, you want to be unremarkable. The only times I've ever been shocked was a vajazzled gal who didn't warn me about the multiple piercings, a couple genital mutilations, and some of the swollen ones after pushing or giving birth stick out too, but in a sad or sympathetic way, not a shocked and weirded out way. Out of curiosity, how much does mutilation interfere with delivery? It depends on the extent of the mutilation. Can range to not much different than normal to requiring at minimum an episiotomy, and will often still tear fairly bad due to all the scar tissue, which does not stretch well. Delivery by C-section being recommended. There are different types of FGM ranging from just parts of the clitoral hood being removed, often with some or all of the clitoris removed as well, but sometimes it is left, to most of the vulva being removed and then labia majora being stitched into one small hole. The more extensive the damage done, the more it will interfere. Reading that hurt me down there. Those poor, poor women. I have never felt so grateful to have a vulva until I read this. This is terrifying. In my 17 years of doing Brazilian waxes, super busy with them, average 35 a day, I've only ever once been kinda shocked. It was because it was a new client who was intersex, and that's the first time I'd seen it. However, the surprise didn't last long. I went about my waxing, and she was such a great client until she moved. Oh, I should also say I did have a nervous bride who farted the entire hour I waxed her body. I guess she farts when she is nervous or in pain. It did catch me off guard, but I mean, everybody farts, and I've seen it happen before, just not for an hour. I personally have seen it all, and I never made anyone uncomfortable. Even this appointment, I just went along and talked to her the whole time, totally ignoring the farts. She was such a great client until she moved. At first, my brain interpreted that as, like, she moved around on the table. You stupid bitch, I told you to hold still! Not a waxer, but it's a frequent part of my job to see women's downstairs mix-ups. Very, very rarely. Shaved, not shaved, lots of labia, no labia, etc. It's all the same to me. I'm just here to work. I think the only time I've heard my coworkers being shocked by appearance is in cases of female genitalia mutilation. I thankfully have not witnessed this yet, but I would likely feel the same, I believe. Lots of labia. Punk band with a Land O'Lakes stylized logo. Well, when I get the last coat on the car, I'm often very surprised if I see genitals. I am not a waxer, but the last time I went to get waxed, the person doing it told me I needed to moisturize my butthole. I have been too embarrassed to go back since. I was fresh out of the shower, and it was late winter, sue me. Where can I purchase said butthole moisturizer? Is it scented? I'd be mortified if my waxer ever told me that, LOL. She's so real for telling you that, but also caring, cause maybe that's how people get tears easily. My vet told me that my dog had a fat vulva. Not a waxer, but I wanted to contribute. Gonna chime in as a doctor, and I would imagine it's the same for professional waxers. We don't care. And in my case, I would be surprised if you'd show me something I've never seen before. I offer a retort. I had a significant case of epididymitis. The left side of the sac looked like a polished grapefruit. The doctor, older gentleman, entered the room, looked at the chart first, then undraped my fruit and exclaimed, "Hello." He took a little metal telescopic thing with a rubber tip, gently poked it twice and said, "Does it hurt?" I said only if it moves too much, otherwise it's just uncomfortable. He said, "This is a teaching hospital. Do you mind if..." I put my hands behind my head and said, "Not at all, Doc." It was a parade of personnel that lasted about 10 minutes. Everyone asked the same question except a urologist, who asked a lot of questions, and we determined it happened while I was lifting boxes of books and had to pee. The pressure from squatting and lifting forced urine into the epididymis. That doctor did care. PCS. Some strong antibiotics. I was normal within a week. So pee is stored in the balls. Honestly, I feel like after a while, nothing really surprises me anymore. Everyone's different and it's all part of the job. But every now and then you get a client who just reminds you that we're all unique in our own ways. Getting waxed at a luxury salon isn't cheap. I never had to question cleanliness. All bodies are different. All clients who care to be waxed come in such a huge variety. Not surprised by anything? Pretty standard practice. Now shampooing people heads brought way more unexpected surprises. Lumpy skulls, permanent metal attachments, unexpected bald patches, and gnarly scars, far more variables hiding in the scalp. The beauty industry is wild, and most who choose the career have a huge amount of compassion for the people they get to touch. Whatever insecurities you have, your hairdresser, waxer, or massage therapist have seen tenfold. No need to over-explain minute imperfections. Nurse here, I look at all kinds of genitals as some of my specialities are urology, general, and plastics. The only thing that grosses me out, Fournier gangrene. My God, is that brutal. I don't wish that upon anybody. The smell, the total breakdown of your genitals, it's awful. Not gonna Google that. Not gonna Google that. Don't. I took one for the team and have regrets. Now explain it for us so we don't have to look it up. Please, please. Itching with curiosity here. Edit, I see. Good thing I didn't look it up. It's a type of necrotizing fasciitis of the perineum, more colloquially known as the taint, anal regions, and external genitalia. So, a flesh-eating bacterial infection of soft tissues in a very sensitive area. I often use it as a malediction in PvP video games. It feels more cathartic than more run-of-the-mill cursing. I used to be very self-conscious and insecure about my genitals. I honestly thought I had a weird vagina. But working in this industry has taught me that everyone is a snowflake. I've seen it all, and nothing surprises me. Just clean yourself before coming in. Thank you for watching. Write comments, put likes, Do not forget to watch other videos.